just met her and.
Of course, I'll be cooking myself later. We're eating it.
Stomach burn afterwards. She was doing.
Take all you want, it's not mine.
To watching your interview.
Are you filming?
She's got her own show. Yeah, so that's kind
Who
of
dat?
interesting.
So I don't know if you guys know Michelle Self.
Yeah, hi.
Michelle.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming tonight,
Oh,
Michelle.
absolutely. I will listen.
Mostly you maybe.
Michelle and Michelle.
You're like Ronald Reagan.
Good to see you.
You ready? Okay, everybody seated? All right.
Steve.
With Luca.
Turn off the music.
No.
All right, we're going to kick off this evening by first welcome each one of you to the Stoughton Media Access Corporation's Producers Appreciation Night. I'm just going to read a couple of notes. The rest of the pages are blank, so you don't have to worry. We're not going to be here long. The rest of us blank. I love it. This isn't town meeting. That's right. It's not town meeting. Besides producing government educational meetings and shows, we are lucky enough to have here at SMAC public access television. We value each and every one of you as producers of our shows because you make it all possible. I would like to introduce to you our board of directors. Dave Laurie. There's Dave. Welcome. He's one of our newest directors since May. We appreciate Dave being here. It was his idea to put this on. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Gina Coe's over here. Gina. And Peter Brown may be coming. He's going to try to make it, but he and Steve Bates, unfortunately, they have some work obligations. I know Steve Bates can't be here, but Peter Brown's going to try to make it, but he has some work obligations, so he may be a little late. And you know, we're here to continue to make our shows a positive experience. That's why we want to hear from you, all the producers. And make this upcoming fiscal year, which starts on July 1, a great year, a very positive year. And with that, that's the end of my comments. I want to introduce to you our station manager. You probably know her on site. She's here every day, every night. This is Anya Zulovnik. I hope I pronounced it.
He got it. He practiced it.
Don't give away the trade secrets. Let me just sit over here.
So thank you all for coming. This is really exciting to see so many new producers and producers that have been producing here shows before, and they like, you know, what we're doing here, and they're coming back. A lot of producers that were producing shows before the pandemic are back, which is very exciting. I am going to tell you today how I got involved in PEG Access, because as I was watching you today, you know, talking to each other and having fun and making new friends, PEG Access is also a great place to make new friends, start a new show. You can see my interns shaking heads, yes. So I have two boys who are in college now. When they were little, I stayed for a few years at home with them. And at some point I told my husband, you know, I want to do something at least like every second day, get out a little bit out of the house. So he says, well, go and see if you can volunteer somewhere. And I'm opening my local newspaper, and the local station is looking for volunteers. So I volunteered and never left. It was probably 19, 20 years ago. And then eventually that led to the career. I've been working professionally in PEG Access for 15 years, but I can't even tell you how many great friends I made over the years. It's just like a great place to meet new people. So I hope you're gonna be coming back. We have more events like this. And you know, you'll have time to get to know each other, and maybe, you know, there will be a new show coming soon. I also would like to tell you about the staff. We have a great staff, completely new. So everyone working here, this is a completely new crew with lots of experience and enthusiasm. If you work with either, look, or Kevin, you know how awesome they are. And this year we also have a lot of great interns. So we have 4 interns from the high school, and Miguel is behind the camera. He also received the scholarship, a video scholarship from the station this year. He's going to study in Canada. He wants to be a technical director for sports networks, and I'm sure he'll get there. Amber goes to the Bridgewater University, and she's incredible. She heard that we're getting the new switcher and we're gonna get training on it, so she says like, can I take part in it? I'm like, absolutely. Some of the interns are not here because they had other things to do and one had to leave. But I'm really trying to create a great atmosphere for everyone here, make sure that every producer is supported, and I hope you all will be coming back. Welcome. So the next thing that we have here is Appreciation Awards presented by Bob Mullen and myself.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. All right, you want to start the first one?
I'll let you start.
Deja vu all over again.
Okay. Okay, this is the Certificate of Appreciation presented on this 21st day of June in the year 2023 in recognition of your outstanding dedication and support as a producer in helping SMAC become a successful community television station. Mr. Ed D. Felice, please step forward. Congratulations.
Thank you, it's like college graduation.
There you go.
And this is
Oh,
All right. Do I want me to keep giving them a few of them out?
yes. So you do 4 and I'll do 4.
Okay. In fact, why don't we, Gina, why don't you come up and give one out?
Okay.
Yep. This is Gina Cole again.
Hi, everybody. Both of them. We have another certificate of appreciation to Mr. Peter Ventresco. Would you please? Thank you.
You picked the Godfathers first.
There you go.
Godfathers, welcome, congrats. Don't forget your
Thank
little,
you.
Only because
Peter.
you're special.
Oh, Peter, ours is the oldest. Huh?
Dave, why don't you come on up? Sure. Let's make this a, get all the board of directors involved. Put you all guys all to work here.
Okay, the next certificate of appreciation will go to Roy Cohen. Make saving a trip. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Roy.
Sure. Congratulations, Mr. Cohen. Thank you. Mr. Moderator. Thank you. Anya, why don't you do this on your own?
Alright, so this is to recognize Mike Wigder. I hope you're gonna start doing your show again. I know you've been very active here before.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Mike, don't forget you. Congratulations.
It's your turn now.
My turn?
Yes.
Let's see who we have next. Oh, we have Deborah Roberts. Miss Deborah Roberts is also chair of our select board in town.
Thank you so very much. This is exciting. This is the first time this event has ever occurred, right?
We had it years ago.
Since I was here, yes.
It's been a year, every year.
We're reviving it.
We're reviving
Oh,
it. After COVID. Great things are happening. Would you like to do the
Yes.
songs?
So this one is for Janet Travaglini. She's a new producer. She produced already 4 shows, and they are absolutely wonderful. And I hope she'll keep coming back. Congratulations.
And Jeanette's also the director of the executive director of Connect 24.
Local chamber.
Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Ah, we recognize this name here, Mr. Steve Kelly. Congratulations, Steve.
Speech?
There'll be time for
Did you get all
This
this?
is,
Yes.
what did you say, it was just like a college graduation, but it's better? They don't have $150,000 bill afterwards?
You don't have to pay for a cap and gown either.
No cap and gown?
Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
So if you get a chance, watch the opening for Steve's show. He has been doing his show before, and he just came back, and we created a new opening for him, and it's so fun. We all, had fun putting it together. So watch it when you have a chance. All right.
Yeah, go ahead. Let Gina do the next one.
This next certificate goes to Michelle Sophie. That's me. There you go.
You also get a
And a
basket.
bag.
Oh, yes, please.
Of course. Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, and
Who's next?
I have the privilege of announcing John DeStefano.
Mr.
Yeah.
John.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you. Don't forget,
You're gonna go far.
this is your dish.
Get back to your seat. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, so this is a last one. This is a very special one. This one is for a producer that comes here and does a lot of shows. Not only he comes here and does a lot of shows, he edits them whenever we need help. He helps us. Interns wanted to do a sport quiz show. We needed an extra person. Frank Walsh volunteer. And I also have to say that he has been a producer for 10 years here. And we have something special that the staff and interns put for him to watch. So we're gonna watch it now.
Can I say something?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
know I haven't been here as long as Luke or some of the other people remember Frank Walsh, but we put together a timeline of every single thing that airs of Frank Walsh's talking to, and it's over 24 hours.
Holy.
So we made this little tidbit of some of our selects.
Highlights.
Hit it, Luke.
We don't get out of here till tomorrow.
Wow.
Folks, you're in for a treat today.
Now, I know that, you're all women here tonight. Have men approached you to try to get into your group, or are men welcome within your group?
No, they are not.
I think we can leave now, Mike.
Are my feet too big for you?
Yeah, you've got some big feet there, kid. What size are those puppies?
You'll have a hard way filling my shoes then, won't you?
Ooh. This is the part of the show where the guest attacks the host, and thank God we have editing. Thank you, guys. What a pleasure and a thrill it is to have you here.
Thank you, Frank.
I can tell you're just jumping out of your seat with excitement. I know that, of all the places you've been, you probably really haven't made it, but as of today, your career has nowhere to go but down. People at home are going to be pretty happy because they're not listening to us babble.
That's right.
We can babble. Exactly. How does it feel to be on Talking Tunes? Do you feel like you've made it?
Listen, this is the best. You're a good guy. You do things for all the right reasons, and that's why I'm here.
Just like we rehearsed.
My twice a year visit.
That's about all the folks at home can probably stand you. So folks, actually you're lucky. So how did Papa Joe come to be? Where did the Papa come from?
Actually,
Now keep in mind, this is a public show, and it's, PG rated, It's one dime band. Where did you come up with that name? I mean, with the two of you, why didn't you come up with like 2 nickels or, 5 How did you come up with nickels? Know anything about sports?
sports? No.
What?
Rap, however, I think I can help you out. His name is Mike, and he's the host of the hottest cable access show on the East Coast with his co-host Frank. They'll be talking sports. Boston Bruins, Celtics, Red Sox, and the Pats, of course. No one's safe, so you better watch out. They're gonna make the girlies wanna scream and shout.
So we've got about 24 minutes left here, Mikey. I don't know what the heck they're going to talk about. You've been sleeping, you missed my classic introduction. Guys, thanks for coming in. I put you on the spot there with your name. I just wanted to make sure you could remember to break that tension, Because one of the things we have on the show is great timing. In the meantime, it is a great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Joe Motti and Mr. Max Zwitt. I got it right, didn't I? I am Frank Walsh. Tune in and tune on.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much, honey. Thank you. Thank you.
Talking tunes.
Thank you. I'd just like to say one thing as far as, being here for 10 years.
I've been here longer.
I owe a lot for Michael Wigdor, Mike started one day, I made a phone call and he said, hey Frank, I'm gonna do a sports show, what about coming on and let's start it off? That's where it all started, and then maybe a year later I started doing a talking tune show, and over the years, I have to say that this has been an unbelievable place, not only where the current administration is now, but rolling it back all the way. I've never had an issue here. The people have always been great, and I've seen the organization grow and grow and grow over the years. And I have to say that since Anya has come on and some of the changes made, these two guys right over there, Luke and Kevin, right over here, have been phenomenal with me, and I probably wouldn't be able to do the shows without the help and the work of these two guys. I come in, everything is ready for me. The show is set up. I come in to do my editing. The computer is set up. They've been tremendous with some guests that I've had on, especially the bands. They are sound guys. They make the place look terrific. The videos look terrific. The sound is impeccable. And I could go on and on and on. But
Yes,
they've only
please do.
paid me. They've only paid me for 1 minute of endorsement. So but I think you get the message. If you guys come back and you guys are going to do some shows, I can tell you, and I've been guests in other cable companies as a guest, and I've seen their operation, and nothing compares to this. And the quality of the people who work here, and these two guys, are unmatched. So if you're going to come back and do a show, trust me, you will be in good hands with everybody here.
All right, I am going to turn it over now to David Lowry, who will be in charge of meet and greet and share your needs and ideas. David, please come over.
I just wanted to correct the record to start. I was given credit for the idea of pulling this meeting together. This is a meeting just for producers and their significant others to come and talk to us. But the original idea was when I was fortunate enough to be able to work on the board. I was approached on Facebook by Shirley, who does the Bait Papo. Are people familiar with the show?
Sure.
Yeah.
So she said, I didn't even know what's going on. She was curious about what was going on, and she said, so I said, well, why don't you call me? I'd like to understand, what your concerns are in that. She goes, the first thing you guys should do is put a producers meeting together so we could talk to the board. There's so many things that could be done, and I say, wow, that's a really good idea. We're trying to figure out how to get the proper feedback so we can make really great decisions for SMAC. So that's where the original idea came from. I brought it to the board, and they immediately said, let's do this. And within a few weeks, we were able to pull this together. So thank you all for coming. So that's kind of what that was about. So the things that are important for a board is to make sure that we're kind of making sure that everything is set for the future. We have to set the direction, the strategic direction. It might be a technical aspect. It could be anything that has to do with like money, raising money, how we spend our money, and things like that. The things that that you have to be careful of when you're doing that is the fact that if you sink all of your money into just strategic investment, technology investment, and you don't have anything left in the bank, then you don't have anything in reserve for unforeseen things that you're now like, the floor just fell out. How are we gonna keep operations going? So you have to have something in the bank to protect that. So on the other extreme, you could save all the money, and if you're not putting enough investment back into the product, now you've got an inferior either the quality of the production, or it could be just like not being aware of like the next big thing and not really having the investment towards that next big thing. So you have to balance those two extremes. So we do have some money in the bank, but we don't have like unlimited money in the bank. So we want to hear what is the best idea for SMAC. We hope that The format that I envisioned for this, and I'm open to ideas, because this is the producers' meeting. It's not my meeting, it's not the board's meeting, it's your meeting. So, I was thinking that the best way, if we could go around the room, and I mean everybody around the room, say, introduce yourself, who you are, tell us about your program, you know, what is it your show's about, and any topic, but just like state the topic, because, and then I'm gonna take notes about what everybody has an interest in talking about. And if you don't have a topic, just say, I'm here to listen, okay? And that's totally fine. So if you didn't actually bring something that you felt was a good idea for SMAC. Then what I wanna do is open it up for anybody who wants to talk about any of the topics that I wrote down. Does that sound okay? All right, so Roy, you're sitting at the first seat. So So I'm going to take notes on first. Just introduce yourself and your show, and we'll just go around the room with that.
Okay, Roy Cohen. I've been directing, producing, and hosting shows for 30 years, something like that. As soon as cable was introduced into Stoughton, I got involved. I used to do live shows with Dick Murphy. I'd do a show one week, he'd do a show the next week, and they were all live, which was not fun, but that's the way it was then. Now these days, especially since COVID has been in existence, I've learned how to do shows by Zoom, and I find that easy to do. I email them to Luke, and Luke puts the beginning and the ending on it, and the shows I'm very satisfied with it. I can hear it. I see it when it's on, and as a matter of fact, today, before I came here, I did a 1-hour show with Mark Hausman. He's a Stoughton resident. He his show topic was Vietnam, the Vietnam War, beginning, the middle, the end, and he was quite interesting to have on. I try to pick shows that the town will be interested in, and so far they have. I think they've been interested. We've even done international shows using Zoom. We have a former ambassador in Israel that I've had on a few times. I've had a former resident of Stoughton who's living in Israel I had on. That show was interrupted by air raid sirens, so he was gone after about halfway through the show for about 2 minutes.
Wow.
When he came back when the sirens stopped. I just try to do things that are of interest, and I think that's about it. I'm looking forward to continuing to do shows. Looking forward to working with Luke.
Likewise.
You gonna come back in studio, Roy? You gonna come back in studio?
I'm toying with the idea of coming back to the studio. Right now, I find it very convenient to do the Zoom shows.
Because I miss you yelling at me when on the cameras.
I miss yelling at you.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
By the way, I congratulate you on that, what they showed here.
Thank you very much.
You're a hell of a host.
Thank you very much.
And I guess that's about it, unless anybody has
Is there
any
a
questions.
topic that we should talk about at all, or do you just want to listen, or what is it that you think would be a topic?
Well, I'm very concerned about the communications that I've seen. There seems to be some problems with follow-through. I'm interested in knowing that there's going to be cross, what do you call it, helping, cross-training, that's the word. I'm interested in a lot more of that happening, so things will be smoother. I've noticed that that's really been missing. But it sounds like it's starting to come back. It sounds like people are paying attention, whether it's board members or the administration. It's very important to communicate, to follow through with letters that, I was here yesterday for this meeting. the letter I got said Tuesday on it. And then there was another follow-up letter that said Wednesday. Well, I missed that. But I think that communication is really very important. We should all do that.
Okay, right, excellent, thank you for that. So who's the young lady sitting to your right?
Can I say something? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, yeah, we're gonna come all the way
Well,
around.
I want
to-
to say something about Roy.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
Yes.
You gonna have his wife talk first?
I'm gonna go around the room and then open it up.
Nothing
And
to
then-
say.
Well, you can introduce yourself, right?
I'm Roy's right-hand man,
Better half.
better half,
Okay, and you're here to listen.
and I'm here to listen.
Okay, thank you.
All right, what I want to say about Roy is, I kind of miss him not being here, but what I really miss is the smoked salmon from Max's. Otherwise, Ray, you can stay home, just make sure.
So I have to put
I'll send you
Maxie's,
the flyer.
Maxie's lox and bagels, I have to put as a topic. All right, thank you. Luke?
I'm Luke Azak. I am I'm the program director here. I don't remember my title. And I guess technically my show, I started doing the local civics show as an attempt to kind of just bring pure education of how to get into government, especially because before working here, I knew nothing. So I've learned everything from just being here and trying to spread that information.
Okay.
And you've done damn good.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a topic or just listening or?
Just listening.
Listening, okay, that's great. And to your right, I forget it, I want to say, I was going to say Andrew, but it's not.
TJ.
TJ, I'm sorry. TJ?
Yeah, will be the first time I'm called Andrew.
I'm sorry about that, yeah.
Alright, so for
Senior.
those who don't know me, I am TJ Chamberlain. I'm one of the interns here.
And a producer.
Yeah, I'm a producer of, my own podcast, The Last Word on Sports. Frank's been on it, and he's been on it one time. He's still working on that PhD.
Recovered yet?
Yeah. Though that was a fun time.
That was fun.
Yeah, there was one bit from that. We were doing it as a Jeopardy special since my birthday was the next day. And I'm like, okay, just different sports topics. And then this was during baseball. And Frank knows a lot about baseball. The question was, name every team Pedro Martinez has been on. And after that question, Frank just responds with, I didn't know we needed a PhD to play this.
And that was one of the easy questions.
So tell us, so now that we understand who you are and what you do, is there any topic or here to listen?
I am here just to listen.
To listen, that's great, that's good, yes?
I forgot to mention, someplace within this building, there's a case of community forum mugs.
Oh, okay.
And if somebody can get them, I'd like you all to have one.
Oh, wow, okay. We'll take a run upstairs, see if, unless somebody already knows.
Gift certificates to Dunkin' Donuts inside of each one.
Maxie's Bagels and Lox.
Yeah, I know where two of them are. Two of them are in, I think, Kevin's office.
That's true. And Amber?
Oh, yes. My name's Amber Angove. I'm a new intern here, but recently I've been doing SMAC News and just sort of editing, but I'm just here to listen, so.
Here to listen, okay, that's totally good. And behind the camera is?
My name's Miguel.
Miguel, thanks.
I've been here for, I think it'll be a year on sometime next week.
Okay.
And I don't really have any, I'm just mainly here to listen, but I just want to say from recording so many things, I think it's good to document as much stuff as we can, because it's just really cool to see what we can learn from other people. So I think that's the main message.
Nicely said.
I'm writing that down, good. Okay, excellent. To your right, I've never met, so if you
My
could help
name's
me.
Susan
Susan.
DeBalsi,
Okay.
and I've known Steve since 1996. And I'm here to listen, of course.
Okay. Excellent, thank you for that. And Steve, now that you've been
Sure.
introduced.
Hi, everybody. My name's Steve Kelly. My show has sort of been renamed with the help of the staff here to sort of a muddy waters kind of a show. And I'm interested in controversy. And I'll give just a simple example. And so I backtrack a bit. So my degree is in conflict management and negotiation, and so wrapping all that into trying to get guests to civilly exchange ideas is my thought. I'll give you just a real hot point now. I don't believe college education is a value right now. So, with that as a base, there's some controversy for you. So that's an example of a show that I think could play out in a number of settings.
I think we have a majority of people though who agree with you on that. I think there's a lot of people.
It's
who
unclear,
agree. Yeah.
but that's an example of a show.
I understand where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Totally. Is there any topic that you think would be a good topic to talk to on SMAC with direction of like where we're taking it, or any things that you want to communicate to the board as well as Anya?
I think it's the type of thing that you want to, I didn't expect that as a
Oh, I'm sorry.
thought
Okay.
process coming here,
Okay.
but it's something that I could reflect on
You can come back.
and be
come back
controversial
around.
about afterwards.
This is a round robin, so we're coming back around to just let people open up if anything on their mind. It's just a chance. There'll be future meetings, but we're going to
Oh,
talk
and I
about
forgot
that
when I spoke to go out to my car first when I was called upon this.
That's right, that's right. Yeah, empty
good.
nesting is something, yeah.
So I like controversy, that's an example.
Yeah, thank you. And to your right is Jeanette.
Yep, Jeanette Travellini. I'm the Executive Director of Connect 24 Business Alliance, which is the merger of the Randolph and Stoughton Chambers of Commerce. So I have a theater background, and so I did a lot of shows in another town, which I will not name.
Performing?
Oh, no, just a TV talk show.
Oh, okay.
Same thing. I've performed before, but yeah. Anyway, so when we merged with Stoughton, I met Anya, and it was the best day of my life. Because, I don't know where you found her. Oh, I do know where you found her, far away. But she is gonna take this place far, I believe. And I have only had a short time where I've actually had a couple of shows. The name of my show is Dynamic Connections, and because of my position in the chamber, it's one of the perks that we offer to our members, our chamber members, to come on and be interviewed so that they can see their information on YouTube and can, sometimes it's easy to read a piece of paper to say, oh, you did all these wonderful things. But it's a whole different ballgame when you see somebody or hear somebody, you can get a feeling of who they are and how they operate most of the time. So, so that's why I do it, and because I love it, and give me the microphone and 10 million people, I'm good. And Anya is your star here, as far as I'm concerned.
So you have positive feedback.
Yes,
what you're bringing.
having
Okay.
been in a different
Okay.
scenario, two different scenarios.
Okay, so as a newbie with your own new program, is there anything right out of the gate that comes to mind that you'd like to say, hey, we should talk about X, Y, or Z? Is there anything?
Well,
there?
one of the things that didn't happen before in my other life was this. This is so perfect.
Oh, it is,
To
okay.
get everybody together
Okay.
to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And maybe, I mean, just out there having pizza, I met a couple of wonderful young men, and we talked about, I don't know, whatever we talked about. It was good. So anyway, so communication is key in my world, always has been communication, because if you don't communicate, forget it.
Feedback is a gift. It's a gift.
What?
Getting feedback is a gift.
Oh,
when you give it and
absolutely,
it's-
absolutely,
it's-
yeah. So
yeah.
I don't want to take any more time up.
No,
so
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to your right is Mike Wigdor?
Mike Wigdor, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been here through different eras in this place, I would say. I think I worked at one point with, I would say, the Beatles of SMAC. We had Mike and Dave and CJ and who am I looking at? Jeff Pickett. And they were fabulous. And so, I mean, that was wonderful, and then, there was changes. I guess the big change for me really was around COVID, when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And even before that, there was starting to be changes. I really enjoy doing my show. I love doing sports. I love talking sports. I listen to sports on the radio. I don't know, TJ's not here. But anyway, and I like to do, I always find different points of view than what they express on on these shows, because I've been into it since I was a kid. Played sports and in all different ones too, not at a very high level. I did play basketball in college, in high school, but, you know, coming back here, so yeah, I am looking forward to getting back into it. I am, I'm like, hear good things about Anya and the board, you know, different board, different changes. Everybody seems very enthusiastic. I hear it from Frank all the time, to come back in
You're gonna have me
here.
come back with you, Mike?
Huh?
You're gonna have me come back with you?
Yeah.
Well, the
Do I have a
enthusiasm
choice?
around sports.
How about Ed?
Yeah.
You bet?
Sure.
No,
Yeah.
so no, I agree with Jeanette. I agree with Jeanette. I think it's very important, and Leroy, we never had these before, I don't think. We ever had producers' meetings. There was usually board meetings that we couldn't be a part of. We didn't even know what the board was thinking half the time.
Yeah.
Or at least we weren't getting feedback about how they felt about what we're doing as shows, as producers. So I think it's very important. It'd be nice to have, I think, maybe a monthly meeting, maybe with producers, or maybe board and producers, or you know, something, or feedback from both groups. If you know, if they feel it's warranted, but I totally agree. It's nice to see everybody here, and I think people feel more like a community.
Yeah.
When you get more, when you see people and talk to people, and you can run ideas off people.
Anya noticed right away that there were a lot of people in the room who never met somebody else who's already been here for years. So there was a need for just people to learn about who's new, you know, the new people wanting to know who's been around, to just understand, you know, the history there.
Yeah, especially since there's a lot of new staff as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking forward to, this guy here, I haven't worked with him yet, but he's the most enthusiastic person. So,
That's great.
I haven't met Kevin yet, but I'm looking forward to
So
it.
Mike,
Working
the
with
topic, the only topic is the monthly, so off of Jeanette to keep the idea of a producer meeting going. Is that the concept you want to share? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be monthly, but I'm just thinking.
Okay, frequently,
Yes,
often
on
as
a basis,
possible,
yes.
often as possible.
Yes.
Thank you. To your right, John?
John DeStefano, producer and host of The Stoughton Dish. We just started doing the show back up again. We stopped because of COVID. We did like 6 or 7 shows before COVID.
Yeah.
And I love doing my show. It's a lot of fun. And working with Luke and Kevin makes it easy for me, you know. And one thing I like about doing my show outside of the studio, we do it on location.
Oh, yeah, that's right, okay.
But I know I'm open to ideas. Anybody has any ideas? I'm looking for any ideas. You know, my show doesn't have to take place in a restaurant. It could be anything about food. So, you know, I think what I would have to say, we're getting involved, like more to get the community involved more.
Okay.
That's good.
So you want feedback from the community
Right.
to help you understand, because what's out there. And one thing that on your thought that, is that I've always asked, say, are there ratings available? And the answer is always no. We can't get, from Verizon or Comcast won't tell us, oh, by the way, there's 12,000 people watching, there's no statistics. So we have no idea how many people, we know how many people subscribe, but we don't know how many people actually tune in. So I can understand why you'd want to get that direct communication, right? Because,
But I'm very happy to do my
Yeah.
show again. I had every
Yeah.
intention of coming back after COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Anya and Luke and Kevin, they're just wonderful.
Okay. Bring community into SMAC. Okay, good. I'm writing that down. Okay, to your right, Peter Ventresco.
Peter Ventresco, yeah, Godfather. I'm here to listen.
You're here to listen?
I'm scared you're sitting next
So
I'm scared you're sitting next
so all you have to say is Godfather. It speaks for itself. Is that the introduction is Godfathers? That's all. You know everything else. That's it. Just Godfathers. Okay. Right. To your right, Frank. We've heard so much about Frank already, but could you quickly say who you are? But any comments about what you like to
Yeah, I
talk
can
about?
jump in. Frank Walsh, I'm producer and host and editor of Talkin' Tunes, and co-host with my good friend Michael Wigdor for Sports Rap. And I really miss doing it, Mikey. and COVID put it on the back seat. But anyway, I mean, I share a lot of the sentiments that people have here, and I remember, you know, when I first came on, we did have some meetings. There were a couple of meetings, I think it was maybe with the board or something, and it was a little bit informative, and that seemed to have gone the way by. And you know, I agree as far as the communication is important and trying to get everybody together. I mean, this feels good tonight, you know, this feels good. And I think that everybody's gonna walk out of here with a smile and feel good and say, wow, I didn't know these people, you know?
Yeah.
And another thing I think would be helpful is that, and you're already on the right foot as far as I'm concerned, is taking an interest in the shows. And I can honestly say historically that we'd meet other members of the board and talk about the shows, and they have no clue what shows we even did. And we'd mention something about a show, they go, oh, well, who, what? You know, there was a separation between the board and us.
Right.
It was us and them.
Right.
And I would like to see at least some kind of an interest in knowing what our shows are, you know, knowing what we put on,
Yeah.
you know, watching the station. It's like, oh, Frank, I saw your sports show. I mean, I try to do that as much as I can. I've probably seen everybody's show in here, at least know what they do. And I think that would be very helpful. And, cause you guys can also give feedback to us,
Yeah.
you know. You can critique us and maybe make suggestions on how we can make our shows better.
I can say firsthand, you know, Bob Mullen, you mentioned at the open, it's all about the programming that you guys come to us
Right.
with. Otherwise, what are we? We're just, you know,
Exactly.
we're just kind of
Right.
regurgitating some government and school programs. But it's the public piece that
Right.
makes it unique and interesting and entertaining and
Right.
valuable. And what I'll tell you, you know, with, you know, everybody knows there's like, you know, there's negative things for every organization, there's positive ones, we've heard a lot of good positive ones.
Right.
But I'll tell you, when I came onto the board, I noticed that they all know about all the good and the bad of how good SMAC could be. And they all, everybody, I could speak for all of us, that we all want to do as much as we can to make it
I'm
as
sure.
good a product
I'm
as
sure.
possible.
I can
Everybody
feel
does.
that.
Yeah,
And to
yeah,
piggyback on what you were saying as
Yeah.
far as, and what you were saying about statistics,
yeah.
it was an understanding at one point that there's some kind of a repository out there where our shows can get put in, and people from around the country and any
Oh,
cable
wow.
company can
Huh.
pull it out. Because I remember, Mike and I got told about that during the Red Sox runs, when they were in the World Series in what, 14, 17, 18, that our show had been picked up by countless numbers of shows out in California and out in the States where they're visiting
There's
players.
fans in those
Because they
places, right?
wanted
Yeah.
information about what was going on in
Yeah.
Boston.
Right.
So you might wanna check in that. All I know is that it's a repository. Do you recall that at all, Mike? Or does anybody remember that?
I do.
You remember that?
Well, I have a friend that lives in Easton, and she told me, she goes, I just watched your show. I said, I thought it was only playing in Stoughton, but
Right.
she was watching it in Easton.
Right. And another thing you can do is you can tell your guest, if your guests are not from Stoughton, and they live in other communities, and I've done it in other, even states, Rhode Island and Maine, is that they can go to their local company.
Yep.
In the local town and have them put it on. And I remember one guy, way back when, probably 5 or 6 years ago, he lived in Rhode Island, and I told him that. And he did it. And I guess they played his show all over Rhode Island for over a month. And he said that every place he went, it was, you're that guy on television. So
Yeah.
you can share that to your guests.
There's some shows, I know only because Shirley reached out to me, that there's a huge need for Brazilian content. And she said, I was getting calls from all over the place.
Exactly.
And she said in 4 or 5 different markets
Right.
that are carrying her show.
Yeah.
And it's because of the kind of
Well-
guests that she brings in
Right.
the Brazilian.
Well, are the SMAC shows going on YouTube?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Automatically?
Oh, so you're.
Yeah, the shows should be put on YouTube.
Yeah.
They should share. I put all my stuff on
page.
YouTube.
There is a SMAC.
And they get hundreds, if not, some of them have over thousands views on
Yeah,
them.
Yeah, and
yeah,
there's a
so,
SMAC
so I'm
YouTube.
writing that down, and we're gonna, by the way, come around
them on
to
YouTube.
dive in on any of these topics, as long as there's time for it,
Right.
so.
One of
yeah.
two other quick things. One is that, I think that it would be helpful if, with community outreach, I know Anya had talked about community outreach.
Yeah.
Maybe, getting involved in some places where we can get the word out about SMAC, and maybe get people with more interest in the shows, and maybe more interns. And, maybe get, like at the high school, for example, someone could go into an art class or a music class and, be a guest speaker and talk about SMAC, or, something like that.
Okay.
And another thing is, maybe collaboration with other, SMAC with other cable companies. Because I do a lot of music shows and I go a lot of people, and quite frankly, they know about us. And they know about what I do, and I've been recruited from other cable companies. So I think that if we form some kind of, maybe an alliance and kind of check in and have, something with other kind of cable companies and exchange ideas, maybe make a visit, like, hey, we'll come and visit your place if you come and visit ours, and maybe exchange some notes and ideas.
Okay. All right, good. No, that's excellent. Excellent
And one
idea.
other thing that,
Yeah.
I think with new people around, I used to do a show probably, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was called Talking SMAC. And it was a very successful show. I think I maybe did 20 of them or something like that. And what we did was talk about what we're talking about now. I had different producers on, I had directors on, I had the administration on, and they talked about what was going on in the station. New shows, new technology, interns, and kind of get the word out there, and it was very well received. And then I was doing it on a regular basis, every week, every 2 weeks, so I was thinking of maybe, if anybody's interested in that, resurrect that, and would there be value of that?
So talk about access as an industry.
Yeah, like Talking SMAC, is it SMAC
So
TV?
talking insider.
Yeah, like I'd have Roy.
Insider
Did
kind of
you
thing.
come on my show? I
Yeah.
think I had
Yeah.
Roy on. No? Yeah, I didn't like you then. But I had a lot of people. I had Mike Hammond on, I had Jeff on, Dave was on, I had different producers, different directors on. And they were talking about what we do here.
Yeah.
And we had some like the behind the scenes things of what's going on.
Okay, I wrote that as a
And
possibility.
any other,
Bring back.
we had different producers, different show people came on and talked about their show.
Mhm.
And we talked about behind the scenes kinds of things, and we actually got some interns as a result of it.
Yeah.
The public saw it and say,
Nice.
hey, because we encourage people coming in to do shows, et cetera, so anyway, enough.
We need a certificate for the most ideas coming out of the producer.
Yeah.
Do we have a certificate for that?
Well, I mean,
No,
I
they're
love this
great.
place.
These
You
are
know,
great ideas.
This place has been a savior for me.
I'm writing all of them down because I wanna revisit a lot of them.
And we should fire Roy immediately.
That's your idea, okay. No, then you gotta replace them, I don't know.
I miss my thing, like, I do camera work. Roy, if you know Roy is very stoic, right? He likes his camera, his one shot. I don't.
Right.
So I'd be doing the cameras and say, okay, Frank, got the hip piece, all right, Frank, hold that shot, keep it on Joe. Okay, put it on Joe, then I move it, then all of a sudden, what's he doing? He's moving the camera. Go in and talk to him. Why is he moving the camera? I told him to keep that camera straight. Jesus Christ, what's he doing? Go in and talk to him. I say, okay, Roy, I can hear you. Shut up, put it on him. He's doing it again.
All right, now we're talking SMAC, which is great. All right, well, we're gonna save Talking SMAC for a Talking SMAC episode.
We're talking
All right, we'll
SMAC,
save-
right.
All right, to your right, Eddie, we're gonna let Eddie.
Yeah, I first got kind of introduced to this type of thing way back in the day when Dick Murphy and Roy had their show, particularly being a guest on Dick's show very often, and sometimes also with Jack Dabrowski, plus they're both souls no longer with us. So that kind of got me, I guess, interested in talking and going over whatever topic it might be. But again, back in the day when I first heard the acronym of SPAC, it kind of disturbed me. I said, what the hell is going on? Because
You thought it was
anybody
like-
back in that time would know what SPAC meant. But anyway.
SMACK.
Yeah, so anyway, that's time, we did the shows, Dick Murphy did the shows at the Easton studio,
Mhm.
which back then was quite nice. So it's been fun, because, when you do bring these folks on, it gives you a chance to learn something also. It's not that you're just educating the people watching the show, because you're getting educated also. And the other thing I just want to mention is, about the Godfathers, I was first introduced to the concept of the Godfathers by Dave Young, who no longer works here, but he talked to me one time and said, "Steve, why don't you do a show, like," he said, "I know you're an old Italian, you've lived in town all these years, and he said, "Yeah, I don't know," I said, "I don't know if I really wanted to host something." He says, "Yeah, you could call it the Godfathers." I said, "What?" "Yeah, because you've been around so long, and I said, "Oh, I don't know. But I think Peter had the same thing happen to him. And at one point I said, "Yeah, okay, we'll try it," and Dave did some of the intro stuff, which I was waiting for someone to sue us for using the Godfather stuff. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. And the last thing I want to say is, contrary to the rumor around town, Peter and I are not divorced. We do separate shows, and we do something together. We just did one together. I was a guest on Peter's show. So, but it's been fun, and I enjoy it. And the last thing I want to say is that I see all indications, especially here tonight, that the turmoil in the past, I think, is in the past. And I see from the people that spoke, the president, etc., I think things are going to be a lot better in the future, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Great. And then, so you're here to listen in terms of opening topics for discussion? You want to just take it as listening, or is there anything else you thought? Are there any topics that you thought you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, there are any number of topics, and just within our own town, and people that do some interesting things that we have never heard of. But sometimes, in those cases, when you approach someone and say, "Gee, you did this, why don't you go on my show?" I go, "Geez, I don't know." Sometimes it's hard to get people that will actually go on the show, So, but one of the rewards is, I guess I can end with this, about 2 weeks ago, I was at Stop and Shop, and I was at the service desk. And I just happened to be gazing around the line, and there was this fellow way at, I think, aisle register one, whatever it was. And I noticed this person looking at me, and I didn't know who he was, So by the time I got up to have my turn at the service desk, this guy comes walking at me, and I saw him coming at me, and he goes, "When are you going to do another show? I like watching your show." And I'm like, I didn't know who the guy was, And that happens, and I'm sure for everybody, that happens a lot when you're out somewhere, and someone comes up to you and says, "I like your show, when are you going to do another one?" And that stuff. It gives you a good feeling that you're doing something good, and a feeling that people do watch the show, and that people do appreciate what all of us are doing. So, I guess that.
No, great. No, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ed. And to your right, Roberts.
Hello, and thank you so much, David. My name is Deborah Roberts. I'm the chair of the Stoughton Select Board, and I agree with what everyone has said before me. But I also want to say, and this is very important, that I work very closely with Luke and with Kevin and with Anya. They are so wonderful to work with. They are so very creative, and I think that's what makes for a good show, that they put you at ease, and especially if it's your first or second time doing something like this.
You want to tell us about the show too, about the show?
Yeah, the show that I do and what my journey is. So, and this is how it's evolving over time. That I felt that there was a lack of what was going on in the town of Stoughton. But there's so much going on, so many good things going on. We just had a new town manager, so I interviewed the town manager to really talk about how the select board and the town manager's vision for the future. But it's more, the town of Stoughton is more than that. It's the businesses that have been around for a long, long time, and they kind of get lost in the newness, like the new businesses are coming on. coming to Stoughton. So my emphasis is really to start interviewing the businesses that have been there and the new businesses, so we, the residents, know what's going on.
That's great.
Also, I like the fact that, you know, the town and SMAC work together and we're trying to evolve. But one of the things that, that I notice when I talk to people and I tell people about the good work that you're doing, they're unfamiliar about the channels, the local channel. You know, they are very familiar with the national channels, but not the local channels. So they don't get the benefit of seeing how you're advertising what's going on in the town of Stoughton, the different events, or the different shows from all of the producers that are here. And I think that's a kind of disservice to the residents. So maybe there is a way, and we talked about it before, you know, in this room right now, you know, the communication, if it's some way that you can get more of the community, make them aware of what you have to offer, you might be surprised.
Doesn't the town have some involvement with the billboard up on 24?
Yes, we do. But you know, it's so small, but we're gonna do more with that. So it's a lot of things that we can do, we can collaborate. One of the things, other than what everyone else is saying, so I'll go, there's macro and there's micro. So I'll go micro in more detail. Since a lot of the producers are doing their shows, you know, using Zoom and things, eventually it will evolve to more coming back to the studio. So one of the things that I think I've talked with Kevin about this is changing the backdrop so all of the producer shows don't look the same. You know, they have some uniqueness. It's not always, you know, the same table in the middle with a little splash of light, if it's purple or red or green. Yeah, do something a little bit different. I know that takes time, energy, and resources, but it may be something to look in to, and probably has to do more with your technology. Having the interns, having Luke and having Anya and having Kevin, I'm sure they have some familiarity with the type of attachments to your equipment that could easily do that, have the different backdrops.
I like
And it
that.
would-
I like that idea.
It would be really nice. So those are about the 2 or 3 things. So technology, put some resources in the technology, make the community more aware. That takes, maybe have a think tank. How can you do that? You may need a group of people, a think tank of people to come together and talk about that, because it's that's going to take energy and that's probably going to take resources as well. So, but you know, I really don't have anything negative to say. It's all positive, and I really am enjoying my journey.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for that. And to your right, Sophie.
Yep, Michelle Sophie.
Michelle Sophie.
Yep, and I have a new show. I had an old show called Hidden Gems, but my new show is called Neighborhood Talks. And I try to highlight and spotlight local businesses first, and then anything else in the surrounding area. Anyone that I can get to come on the show and talk about their businesses and what they're doing.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Are there any topics?
Well, no, everyone, I think everyone pretty much
You
covered
concur
everything.
with a lot of the
Right.
topics. Okay, understood. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Thank you.
Michelle. To your right, Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm I guess media access coordinator, videographer here at SMAC, videographer, editor. I agree with what everyone said, and kind of similar to what Deborah said. I think about being able to change it up. I mean, I'll be quick with this, but you know, I love hearing people's ideas, and every single one of you guys here has come up with some, whether it's just talking or about your show, about someone else's show. Like, I think this is great how everyone's together, and I can kind of see everyone's face together and how everyone kind of intermingles. I think a lot of great ideas come from that. But communicating those ideas is sometimes hard, and what Deborah was saying about time and effort, coming up with new things, you know, can be difficult. I'd love if there was a streamlined way, so whether if it's a piece of paper or a sheet or a production sheet where we can brainstorm, because everyone's schedule is different and it's often hard times going through emails and, you know, coming up with the idea in between work when you see the email from Kevin being like, hey, have you come up with a backdrop yet for your show? So maybe if there's some sort of streamlined way where there's a brainstorm paper or something, so that way, you know, you can take your time with it, email back to us.
Brainstorm like within this brain trust of people?
No,
like
just
that,
for
or-
yourself, just to
or-
communicate
okay.
your own idea better towards Luke or I, whoever is taking on the project, so that way we can better, you know, build, whether it's a backdrop or a set or, you know, what we're actually filming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I'm
But-
looking forward to the railroad depot.
Yeah, I see, it's
Looking to that.
slow, but it's going, we got Dwight McCarran.
Kevin's working on a great project for the railroad depot. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for
To your right, Gina?
Gina Coe, I'm a current board member, but before that, I have Roy to thank for actually bringing me into SMAC. He actually trained me on the board, and I worked with him directing Community Forum for a few years, I would say. And then I produced, and with Steve's help, we did the Hometown Business Show. It kind of sounds similar. We went on locations to different businesses, and Steve was the host, and we put it all together. It was a lot of fun. But tonight I am here to listen to
Okay,
our
excellent,
producers. So.
excellent. And to Roy, it's interesting when he's our best recruiter, because
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did with you, and I know there's others, but Jeanette, I only knew about Jeanette because of your interview with her, and once you know it, she goes and starts a show right soon after, so it's contagious, whatever
And
he's
I have to
doing.
say, I was remiss in not crediting Roy for the lucrative contract that I've received here at SMAC. He did bring me on, and I have him to
That
thank.
will not go in
Yeah.
the record, I will not.
You had me at Max and Kelly.
I just have a quick suggestion. Having to do with the background that Deborah mentioned, it's electronically, it's so easy.
Right, right,
Just
we did
pick
that.
it out and it'll be done. But I'd like to suggest that if all of you happen to watch CNN, you notice every so often they have someone coming on and saying, my name is Steve Kelly, with this show, and just like little 10-second blurbs that these guys can stick in
Okay.
at different times. And I would be happy to try to work something out with the administration and putting something like that together, because I think it would be pretty easy. Again, with Zoom, you can just press the button and you'd come up, get your thing out of the way, and then Eddie would come up with one. Everybody should introduce
So
themselves.
Roy, if I heard you correctly, everybody here is gonna go to their show and say, my name is Steve Kelly?
She's all in favor, you're all good with that.
Just trying to clarify.
All right, to Gina's right, our president, Mullen.
My name's Bob Mullen. I'm here to listen and take notes and things, and the most important thing is, we appreciate you all being here. And I just wanna remind everybody, SMAC is always evolving. It's like technology. It's changing all the time. Our cell phones, every time iPhone 14, don't forget, years ago, it wasn't that long ago, iPhone 10s, iPhone 6s. I mean, here at SMAC, we're also evolving. Technology changes so quick, and we're trying to stay up with it, and we will stay up with it. But just remember, it's your ideas that make your show. There's never a bad idea. Do what you need to do. The thing I always tell my kids, I have 2 children, don't tell me it can't be done. Just try it. You never know when you can do something different. Just try it out. If you know a particular piece of software or technology that we can incorporate into SMAC, let us know. If it's affordable, we'll try to get it. But you have to communicate to us. I mean, obviously, we're gonna improve upon our communication to you all and to the community. But don't forget, it's a 2-way street. Let us know what you're thinking. Anya's and her staff are the greatest people. And that's evolved too. Nothing ever stays the same. And if it does stay the same, even in your own lives, it gets stagnated. And, your kids move out, move on. I mean, it's a good thing. Some people don't like that to happen, but it happens,
I just left an hour ago.
Yeah, it just happened today, But that's a good thing for your children. They're growing up too, they're evolving. And here at SMAC, we evolve too. we evolve, we hopefully make it a better place for everybody to work into, if you wanna consider a play here. Hope you're having a good time doing your shows, because it is somewhat enjoyable when you do your own show. I can see some of your faces when I watch some of your programs. I haven't watched everybody's program because sometimes I fall asleep on the couch when I get home, I have to admit that, you know. Then I wake up and if the show's on, I might tune in, you know. But, you know, I just wanna remind everybody, it does evolve. SMAC will get a lot better, a lot easier. And just don't forget the two-way street. Let us know if there's some improvements we can make. Talk to Anya. We have something going down, something's evolving already. We're gonna have different emails. You can reach out to any of us, but the most important person here, besides her staff, is Anya. Let her know what you're thinking, what you need. We might be able to make it happen. You know, you could all be like, you know, what's the current show on TV now? I'm just thinking of Johnny Carson all the time. I see some of his replays, but you know, your shows are important to some people. Like you mentioned here, I was listening to some of you people. People recognize you on the street. I mean, those people are your followers. You know, they do follow what's going on. Not everybody. I always say here. Sorry for talking so long, but it's, you know, what happens also in our community of Stoughton is a great place. The people make it great. But a lot of people they go to work, come home, they deal with their children, go on the soccer games, and that's all they got. But I think you can make their nights a little more enjoyable by putting your shows on, and we'll try to reach out to more and more people, and hopefully we encourage them to watch your shows too at the same time. All right, that's all I have to say, but thank you again for all coming here and expressing your thoughts. We appreciate it.
To your right, we have Anya herself.
So this was really great, you know, to listen to all of you. I love that, you know, you want more. As someone who runs the station, the worst thing that you can get is a producer that never wants to try something new or, you know, doesn't want to take it to the next level. So I love that you want to do more because I want to do more because I get bored if I, you know, don't keep upgrading things, don't do new shows. So one thing that I wanted to mention, we are getting a new video switcher. And some of you mentioned to me that you would like to do shows with live audience. So I'd love to start doing shows with live audience or with people that can participate remotely. So this new switcher comes in with this feature that people will be able to participate in your shows remotely. If you're brave enough to do it, we'll be able to do it starting probably at the end of July and beginning of August.
You mean live audience as in live camera to air?
Yes, so we can go live from here. We can also have live audience, and we can also have live participation.
So someone could call into a show?
Yes, yeah. People will be able to call even from New Zealand if you want to.
Wow. So if we're doing a show at 3 o'clock, it's being shown on their television at 3 o'clock? Just so I'm clear.
And I love, Frank, what you said, that like, you know, a lot of people don't realize that there's, you know, there are ways to have your show be watched in other towns and other states, and we can definitely, you know, have one meeting and talk about it. I can bring different examples, you know, how you can reach out to other places and have your show being shown, you know, in other states, even in other countries.
I only have one other thing.
Yes.
I think there's a SMAC page on Facebook, and that could be utilized a lot better. I don't know exactly what, maybe show clips of whatever new show is gonna be out there.
Facebook, you said?
And it just, I don't know how you get it out to more people to look at it, because everybody has a Facebook feed somehow, but,
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
About creating a SMAC, like a group page?
There is a group page,
There is a
SMAC page. I don't know if it's a group page.
I'm not sure.
Okay, all right, so social media with an avenue to distribute content is what you're basically saying.
I like to praise our manager Anya because
Okay.
she's got the board to loosen up the purse strings, to buy new equipment, to bring us up into the next generation.
So I do have an idea. You already know who I am, so I'm not gonna have to do an introduction. But after we started, as soon as I started kind of getting into the role, I decided to just reach out to try to get to know, and I think it was brought up, you know, if you collaborate with other local access organizations. I went to the East End, I think her name was Heather, I can't remember her name offhand, who took me on a tour of their studios, and they built a a video podcast room. So it looks like a radio disc jockey, you know, where they got the microphones hanging down, and it's very, very close. Cameras are at close angle where, you know, the people who are getting shot are like really close up, and it's almost like one-to-one, like a radio broadcast kind of thing, because it's a podcast. So I was wondering whether or not anybody thought that they could see taking advantage of that kind of an environment for a studio.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's right down my alley.
It is.
Don't you do one now?
Yeah, I do one here.
You do, and so how do you make that look and feel? Do you,
So
do you
it's kind
change
of-
the room to make it appear like it's?
I mean, it's kind of like a TV setup because it goes on both the TV here and also we have a Spotify for podcasts. Mine that I know of, it's the only weekly one at the moment. There's been a couple other podcasts that have been done. There's, I think, a gaming podcast for a little bit. There's a science podcast for a little bit. But that I know of, mine's the only one that it's.
So it's like
week to week.
on the distribution side of it is how you're describing. But what about like this, the physical studio that you do it?
It's shot down in the studio too.
It's in studio too, so yeah.
Yeah, it was in Studio 2 for a while. For the last like 2.5 months, I've been actually filming it in here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so physically you can make the room get the look that you want.
Yeah.
You get the look that you want from
You
that.
make it like
Okay.
a newsroom.
Yeah, it's kind of like a newsroom for it.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm just gonna do a readout and then let everybody go, or I don't wanna leave until we come up with an agreement as to how often we're gonna do these meetings, cause that, I'm gonna be expected to say something to the board about, well, when's the next one gonna be? Are we gonna exhaust this too much by doing it too often, or, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm just gonna read out what we have. Adding word graphics to shows as somebody's speaking, so Steve Kelly's getting extra exposure on all their shows. Communication and follow through and cross-training. Document as much as possible as to what people are doing so that there's like an archive of data about, oh, this is how things were done, so we can keep repeating best practices. Going down, producer meetings, that seems to be a theme. You'll hear me keep saying that over and over again because producer meetings was popular. Facebook feed or social media as another means of distribution. Monthly meeting with the board, so that's back to producer meetings to give us feedback so we can interact with producers. Bring community into SMAC. So I think that was actually discussed at the meeting, right, where we're gonna do almost like a Stoughton Day kind of thing, where we said, come on in, we'll give tours. So there is gonna be, that was actually discussed, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right? So that's actually on our radar to do that. So we got a bunch of great ideas from Frank when he said producer meetings with the board. That was redundant, but it was still a good idea. Repository of programs for national exposure. Getting the word out about SMAC for volunteers and interns. Collaborate with other access companies, which I appreciate, I found that to be really a good idea. Talking SMAC, bringing that back, so you could do like an insider look of.
Well, kind of like what we were talking about when, you know.
Yeah.
I forget her name, when she was describing what she was doing. That would have been like a topic.
A topic for a show, so, yep. So then we went and we have make shows look unique, which we understand that the technology's there, it's just actually just using the technology that's there to make the shows unique.
Just press the button.
Yep. I think resources came up from Deborah as well. She's not here to say anything about it, but I think resources is an important thing because I think we want to make sure that there's a level amount of support. Like, is there going to be a director for your show? How many volunteers do I really need to make my show work? You know, is there a constant, steady baseline of what you expect to have available to set the cameras, set the audio, run the control room, all those kinds of things. So I think we have to have everybody understand there's a minimum that we've got to be able to deliver on. Does that make sense?
And if I could jump at one point there, like in the past, it was very helpful that it was encouraged for the producers of the show to find and have trained their own director.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had Roxanne Morse for many, many years, and it took the burden off to Dave and the other folks here. So, you know, I know I've had another director in here, but I think it would be helpful if we knew someone where each of the shows could get their own director. And bring in some of their own assistants, maybe their own camera person, which
I
I try
actually
to do.
talked to Shirley about that topic, and what she found is, because she brings in volunteers, there's others that bring in their volunteers, I know Roy does and so on, is that you get a volunteer and they get trained up to do terrific things.
Yes.
And now you got a concern about churn, because now they want to develop their own,
Correct.
you know, career off of the training they got, and so it's hard to maintain volunteers without being paid, right? Over time, you know, but it's one of those things, so I think that's a topic we have to be aware of, right? Awareness in the community came up, so making sure people know, hey, there's SMAC, but I think that goes back to the same thing, inviting them in, letting them know we're here, right, getting the word out, so that's a common theme. Let's see, find ways to communicate new ideas for brainstorming, I know that came up from Kevin. And someone also brought up YouTube, I think there was another intern who brought up YouTube. So we have to look at investments, right? Because that's an investment to do YouTube, right?
I don't think so.
Or is that?
No, YouTube's
Well,
free.
there's YouTube and then there's YouTube, right? There's ways to using YouTube for free, but there's also YouTube investments too,
That
right?
would be a good topic for our next meeting.
Yeah.
We can go into
Too
it in
much
great
to
detail.
touch, so that's like almost like a dedicated meeting, right?
Yes.
So we're aware of the different ways to leverage the YouTube, but we have to develop that idea, right? To make sure that the budget could support it and all that, all right? How does that sound?
Good.
You got it?
Good.
All right, good?
Thank
All right.
you.
So that's all I had. Time to mingle.
You did
but we've
forget
done a
one
lot.
thing, and actually this is one of the things you brought up, and it's very important.
Sure,
Crack the ratings code.
crack the ratings code.
You really,
See,
if
somebody's got the
you
ratings.
can prove your ratings, then you become something.
There was a conversation like when you do like video on demand, like if you're using the internet, if there's a way to measure a click, that they're taking you to a show, then that would be one way to measure, because we can measure clicks. But we just can't measure like the Comcast and Verizon
It's a great code.
viewership. So yeah, cracking that code. And why don't they have the statistics? We're sure they must
I
have
want to
them.
say thank you to everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. So we'll try to, all right, we'll communicate the frequency of these meetings. Okay? Just look for emails about getting a new meeting.